Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crescent Podcast, the show where I try to tackle the real challenges of running service-based businesses, specifically based in Kent in the UK. So I'm Lucy, I'm your host, and we are today going to talk about something that can be a bit uncomfortable, but I think it's a really important conversation to have that every entrepreneur faces. So how to charge what you're worth, how to know what to charge what you're worth without scaring away potential clients. I'm mainly going to use examples from my business perspective, so like social media management and website design, that sort of thing. But they can be transferred across to any business, really, especially if you're service-based. So if you've ever found yourself justifying your prices or cutting your rates just to land a client or watching potential customers' eyes glaze over when you mention your fees, this episode is for you. I'm going to try and break down exactly how to communicate your value, handle price objections professionally, and build the confidence to charge what you deserve. And if you're just starting out, I'll share some practical strategies for pricing yourself as a new business when you don't have years of case studies and previous clients to lean on yet. So let's get cracking. First of all, the mindset shift. Okay, so this is the elephant in the room. Why do so many of us struggle with pricing? It usually comes down to one thing, which is that we're thinking about our work all wrong. So when a potential client asks about your rates, what's the first thing that pops into your head? I think the most obvious thing that people tend to think of is you think about the time you spend. So, and I'm going to keep the maths really simple here. So if I spend 10 hours a week managing someone's social media at, say, £50 an hour, that's £500. But there's a problem with that approach because you're selling time, not the transformation. And time is limited. There's only so many hours in a day. So there's a ceiling on what you can earn. So instead, try to think of it in terms of outcomes. What is the result that you're delivering worth to the client's business? So, for an example, Joe Blogs runs a social media management company. They charge £500 a month because they calculated their hourly rate times the number of hours they work. But then they changed their thinking. One of their restaurant clients saw a 40% increase in weekend bookings after they optimized their social media strategy, which translated into an extra £8,000 in monthly revenue for the restaurant. Suddenly, that £500 fee doesn't seem expensive. It seems like an absolute bargain. And they delivered a 16-to-1 return on investment. So that's the first crucial shift. Don't sell your time, start selling your results. Because when you can demonstrate clear value, the price becomes less of an issue. The second mindset shift is to understand that not everyone's your ideal client. And believe me, I have experienced this. I know, especially when you're starting out, you feel you need to grab every customer that you can. But honestly, clients who only care about the price will never value your expertise. They'll question every invoice, they'll push for discounts, and they'll probably leave you for someone cheaper anyway. But your ideal clients are the ones who understand that good work costs money and that investing in the right expertise will pay off. Those are the clients that you want to attract and retain. So, number 2, communicating your value. Okay, so you've made this mindset shift. Let's start talking about how to actually communicate your value to potential clients in a way that justifies your pricing. So focus on outcomes, not tasks. Instead of saying, I'll post 3 times a week and respond to comments, for a social media manager, for example. Instead, say, I'll develop a strategic content calendar designed to increase your engagement by 50% and drive qualified leads directly to your business. See the difference? The first sounds like you're a pair of hands executing tasks. The second really positions you as a strong strategic partner focused on business results. The other thing to consider is revealing the hidden work. So most clients will just see the tip of the iceberg. So that final post that goes out on Instagram or the email campaign that lands in their inbox, they won't see the hours of strategizing, research planning, optimization, and everything else that goes into it. Don't assume they know. Explain your process to them so that they can see exactly what they're getting. For example, and I always do this with my clients, as part of the introduction to the business, I explain exactly what I would be doing. So before creating any content, I will research competitors, analyse the audience demographics, develop a strategic content plan aligned with the business goals. What do they actually want to achieve? And then there's actually designing the content, creating the videos and the reels and the captions, scheduling everything, community management, monthly analytic reports. It's so much more than just 10 hours a week or whatever it will be, sounds like. So when it's put into perspective like that, the fee doesn't seem quite so expensive when they realise it's more to than just putting a post on social media, for example. And it's okay to use specific examples and case studies, and having concrete evidence like that is really, really helpful. But don't just bombard people with like random numbers. Tell stories. For example, you could tell a story such as, I worked with a local fitness studio who was struggling to fill their classes, and after we implemented a targeted social media strategy, we increased their follower engagement by 200%, and they went from having, say, 3 people in their evening yoga class to having to have a waiting list, which translated to an additional X amount in monthly revenue. Stories stick, and the numbers back it up, and together it's a really powerful combination to show to prospective clients. You can also always compare to alternatives. Now, you do have to be a bit careful with this, but it can be quite effective. So you're not bashing the competition, but you're helping clients understand the cost of getting it wrong. So with the social media, like I say, you have 3 options. You can handle the social media yourself, which is time consuming and means you are spending less on your business if you're having to do social media yourself. You can hire someone cheap, which may be inconsistent posting or brand mishaps or missed opportunities, or may not look particularly professional. Or you can invest in something strategic that actually produces results and helps your brand to grow in the way that you want it to. So as long as you're careful with how you word that, that can be quite effective. And it's important to position yourself as a business partner. So for this, you need to change the entire dynamic of the conversation. Instead of being an external supplier who executes tasks, become a business partner who's invested in their success. Everything's got to come back to their business goals. What are they actually trying to achieve, and how do you help that happen? So my job isn't just to manage your social media, it's to ensure your online presence directly contributes to your revenue targets and long-term business growth. When clients see you as a partner rather than a service provider, they're much more willing to invest in that relationship. So, number 3, how to handle price objections. And it's going to happen. It happens to all of us. So you've communicated your value brilliantly, but the client still says something like, this was our budget. And it might only be a little bit lower than what you'd quoted. It could be a lot lower. I very recently had this experience that someone wanted to... They obviously had no idea of the work and everything that goes into it, and I had tried to explain that, but their budget was just not there, unfortunately. So if that happens, don't panic. It's completely normal, and it doesn't necessarily mean no. They just want to understand exactly what they're getting from this and why they need to make this investment. Ask the right questions. Instead of immediately defending your price or offering a discount, ask questions to help them see the bigger picture. So it could be something like, what would achieving said goal they mentioned be worth to your business? Or what's it costing you right now not have this handled properly? Or how much revenue do you think you're missing out on with the way things are done at the moment? These questions shift the focus from the cost to the investment value and show why you're worth it. You could always offer a package. Sometimes breaking it down like that is more suitable to some clients. So rather than having one large number where they go, that's too much, break your services into tiers, maybe to help clients understand what they're paying for with different levels of expertise. So the essentials package, then a growth package, and then premium package. So then they've also got control of what they want, but they can see if all they want to do is pay for the essentials, they're going to be missing out on things. but that's up to them. And that gives them options while still maintaining your value. And yes, everyone is concerned about their business making money. And sometimes if they say it's too expensive, it could mean something else. So look for the real concern there. And it could be saying, I'm not really sure this will work, or I've been burned before and I'm not prepared to do it again, or I'm anxious about doing it again. Try to figure out what they're actually trying to say and address that directly. So if they're worried about the return on investment, you could offer to start with a smaller project and then build up to that. So scale it back and say, and if this works after 3 months, we could look to increase, for example. If they've had bad experiences before, go through your processes in more detail, explain exactly what you do and why your approach is different and why you truly believe it will work. If after all of that, they're still reluctant, or they're not happy with the price, or they just can't, for whatever reason, you have to know when to walk away. And not every prospect will become a client. That's okay. If someone's fixated purely on the price and can't see the value you're bringing, then they're probably not your ideal client anyway. As much as you want to get as much business as you can and help your business grow, especially as a new business, sometimes it's okay to say, actually, I don't think this is a good fit for both of us. Maybe say, keep me in mind if the situation changes. And it would be better to do that rather than slash your prices, which I'm sure you are likely to regret later. I know I've done it, and I'm sure a lot of people do it, and people regret it. There's a reason you set your pricing as you did. So you have to trust your gut with that. Number 4, pricing as a new business. Okay, this may not be applicable to everyone if you're already quite well established, but it is a big challenge to know how to price yourself appropriately when you're just starting out. You might have loads of experience. I had 15 years of experience in marketing when I set up Crescent, and I still wasn't sure where to place myself. As a self-employed person as well, you have to take into account things like your pension, your taxes, and all of that. You can't just work to the minimum wage because that doesn't cover everything. So there's a lot to consider. And of course, the other thing, when you're starting out, a lot of people experience imposter syndrome, which makes you question everything and second guess yourself and probably price yourself lower than where you may be meant to be. So make sure you do your market research thoroughly. See what other people are charging. Join industry groups online. Look at job adverts online. Check out competitors' websites. You're not copying their prices. You're understanding where they're at and seeing if what you think your worth is on par. It's also important to not just focus on your experience, but look at your skills. Just because you're new to running your own business doesn't mean you're new to the skills that you're offering. So the experience you've gained still has value, but you've also got relevant skills that you'll be able to use in this new business. So make a list of all your relevant skills, your trainings, your certifications, and your experience. And you might actually be surprised with just how much you bring to the table. I would recommend first starting off with project-based pricing. So hourly pricing can work against you because clients might worry about how long things take. But if you do a price for a project, that shows that you are putting a value on the outcomes rather than how long something's going to take. So website design, £1,000 sounds more professional and confident than website design, £50 an hour, and might take 50 to 80 hours. You also need to build in learning time. I'm a big believer in that you're always learning, you never stop learning, and particularly in social media and website design, things are always changing, and I love the fact that I am able to constantly continue my personal development. So you need to incorporate that, whatever industry you're in. So you can still be charging professional rates whilst you're still learning, and you can be transparent and share that progress that you're making. If a project might take you longer because you're perfecting that skill, build that time into your flat rate rather than charging an hourly rate, and create credibility through content. So start sharing your expertise before you have a client list. Write a blog post, create social media content, start a newsletter, and then when potential clients see you know what you're talking about, they're much more likely to trust you with an investment or a project or work, whatever it may be. You can always consider partnering up with another company or subcontracting strategically. So you could land a project that's maybe a little bit outside of what you do. So you could consider partnering up with someone a bit more experienced. Then you maintain the client relationship and learn valuable skills whilst ensuring quality delivery. I personally don't outsource anything. I like to do it myself, but I'm also ridiculously honest to a fault. I'm a terrible liar. So if someone says they want a particular type of website done, or they want someone to get them big on TikTok, that's not me. I can't help you with that. However, I know people that do, because I get out there and I network, and I've met so many incredible people. I know numerous people who do WordPress websites, for example. Isn't what I do, but if you want a WordPress website, I know exactly who to call. I know who will deliver fantastic results. You could always use introductory offers, but if you're going to do that, do it strategically. So don't slash your prices or anything, but you could think about offering a small, high value service at a competitive rate to get your foot in the door. So an audit of a website you could charge quite a small amount for, but it might then lead to a bigger ongoing contract, for example. And confidence is everything, because if you don't believe in your value, your clients won't either. So practice having your pricing conversations. Role play with friends or record yourself and then watch it back. Get really comfortable talking about money and explaining why you're worth what you're charging. And everyone was a beginner once, so everyone can relate to what that's like. And the key is to price yourself based on the value you deliver, not the imposter syndrome voice in your head. So, number 5, practical tips for pricing conversations. So never, biggest thing of all, never apologize for your pricing. Don't say, I know it might seem expensive, or I'm really sorry, but my rate is. You don't apologize. This is your price. You deserve it. Own it. Use confident language. So instead of I charge around £2,000, say the investment for this project is £2,000. And instead of my rates are, my fees are structured as. And present the prices in context. So this £5,000 investment would typically generate X amount in additional revenue within 6 months based on similar clients I've worked with. Things like that can help clients really see the investment value of what they're doing. And be prepared to have the conversation. Have your pricing ready. Know your rationale. Practice your responses to common objections. And the more prepared you are, the more confident you'll sound. And if you've had a meeting face-to-face with someone or on the phone and you've had this conversation, follow it up in writing. Send a follow-up email that summarises what you discussed and reiterate the value you'll provide and clearly state the investment required. And when you're setting out the payment terms, do what works for you. So don't be afraid to ask for a partial payment up front, especially for big projects. So, for example, when I'm doing a website design, I do 50% up front and 50% when they are absolutely happy with everything. And that is perfectly reasonable. So this is what I want you to remember from today's episode. Your pricing isn't just about covering your costs or making a living. It's a reflection of the value you bring to your client's business. And when you can clearly communicate that value and handle the objections with confidence and attract clients who understand that expertise costs money, everything changes. You stop competing on price and start competing on results. And whether you're just starting out or you've been undercharging for years, it's never too late to adjust your pricing to reflect your true worth. Importantly, remember, charging what you're worth isn't just good for you, it's good for your clients too. When you're properly compensated, you'll deliver better work. You'll invest in better tools to support you, which will in turn produce better work. So focus on the results instead of just getting by, which I know as a new business we're all guilty of, I think. So that's it for today. I hope that was helpful. If you've enjoyed the episode and previous episodes, I'd love it if you'd leave a review or share it online if you think someone will find it useful. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon. Have a good day.